welcome to the donation page Throwdown Spring 2022 edition. So my name is Rob Wu, and you have Jenna Notar Francesco from Cosvox. We will be getting started shortly, so we are at the top of the hour, but of course, there are folks joining us right now, and we see a lot of people joining us. As we get situated, just know that this is Zoom, so you'll be able to see our screen, see our webcams, as well as see our hear our audio. So if you do have any trouble, feel free to chat us in. There is a chat function. This is meant to be interactive. So the first things first, let me ask this question. As you all are joining us, who are you and where are you joining us from? I would love to know who you are, your location, as well as what organization you're with, so we can give you all a shout out. So feel free to do that in the chat box. You'll find that in the Zoom controls. We'll be getting started shortly. And Jenna, I do have my coffee and mug ready to go.
Perfect. Always prepared.
I was hoping that we would be matching mugs today, but that is not the case.
Next time, hopefully.
All right, so we have a lot of people joining us today. Sierra from Dallas Hope Charities, Dallas, Texas, welcome. I am just south of you in Austin, Texas today, so howdy. We have who else? We have Maureen from Hilton Head, South Carolina, so it's beautiful there. Maureen, you are lucky to be there. Also, we got here today, Ryan from Repair the World, Dalian from South Orange, New Jersey, East Coast representing. Jenna, you can say hi to your Jersey folks over there.
Hey. I see Chad's here. Hey, Chad.
Yeah, welcome to the donation page Throwdown. My name is Rob Wu. You also have Jenna Notar Francesco. We will be getting started shortly. So in the meantime, feel free to chat us in, who you are, as well as where you are dialing in from and what organization you're with. We love to hear from our audience, so we know that we're speaking to real people and not just heads in a Zoom call, because we've been through this. Zoom can get exhausting. So thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. We'll be getting started within the minute.
Top of the minute.
And if you want to, you can count down. I'm just
Oh, goodness. So many people are joining in. Hello, Lynn from Cambridge, Ontario. And I think there was somebody else from Canada too. Kylie. Hi, Kylie. Welcome all of our Canadian orgs, US orgs. Hello, another San Francisco Bay Area folks. Devin, hello. Lots of people.
Yep, ton of people from everywhere. So thank you for joining us. My name is Rob Wu, CEO and founder of Cosvox. You're also on with Jenna Notar Francesco. We're excited to do the donation page Throwdown with all of you today. Thank you for sharing your lunch times with us. So we'll be sure to keep this on time and on track, just in case you have a late lunch on the East Coast, or if you're dialing from the Pacific, San Francisco Bay Area, as we see a lot of people here today. Enjoy your brunch on a Wednesday. So let's get this thing started. All right. My name is Rob Wu, CEO and founder of Cosvox. We also have Jenna Notar Francesco from Cosvox as well. Super excited to share with you some best practices around donation forms as well as donation pages. And we also have a ton of submissions from our registrants today about that submitted their donation forms and pages to be reviewed today for critiques. So I know it's hard to volunteer your own page and kind of just be out there. So we thank everybody who submitted their donation page form to be showcased today in this review. Now, because of time, we won't have the ability to go through all the pages, but we hope to hit as many as possible. I'm gonna hand it over to Jenna.
Awesome, thanks for the intro. So for those of you who are new to CauseVox, I'll just do a quick review. CauseVox is a digital fundraising platform, and we're designed to help your organization raise more with less effort. And so we do that providing best-in-class online fundraising tools, along with hands-on support and onboarding, and our top-rated fundraising education in the form of guides, templates, webinars, courses, and more. So yeah, basically we can provide you the tools, including all of your donation forms and pages, crowdfunding, event ticketing, peer-to-peer fundraising. You can pretty much just tidy up your fundraising and streamline everything under one roof. And today we're focusing on donation forms. So just to highlight a few of the key aspects of a CauseVox donation form, that'll be your ability to use mobile wallets, including Apple and Google Pay and PayPal. You can have several, actually 3 donation types. So you've got your one-time, recurring, and pledge donations. We send auto receipts for you, customized branding. We help you, give you the option to cover the fees. So all that's included, and we're gonna definitely walk through all of these aspects later on in the Throwdown. So just a quick overview on how you can modernize your donations on CauseVox. If it's something that piques your interest, you can definitely just go right ahead and schedule a demo right off the bat, even before the webinar begins, just to get started on CauseVox, and I'll drop the link in the chat. And yeah, I think that's everything to get us started. I'm gonna hand it back to Rob.
Thanks, Shanna. Now, a few housekeeping items before we begin. This session is recorded, so if you have to hop out early, feel free to. We will send out the recording within the next few days, and the slides will be provided as well. So before anyone asks, we will be providing this as a recording. All right. So why are we all here today? So the hot topic of today is that folks are not donating on your donation form as much as you want to, as frequently as you want to. So today what we want to do is talk about that. We want to solve that problem. And this problem is really big, because if you don't have a great donation form, donation page, and you know this, is that you'll get lukewarm fundraising results. You spend a lot of time planning, strategizing, and then you won't get the results that you want and the donations that you need in order to scale your mission. You'll get donors that don't return. So folks who donate once but never return to support your organization, which is incredibly frustrating since you spend so much time and effort in getting that first donation. And very lastly, the impact of this is that you'll be fighting fires all day long. So the more that you don't see results come in from your efforts, then the more you try to remediate and fix any type of fires that bubble up from that. So what we want to do today is solve some of these problems, solve some of these issues by taking this wonderful journey. So what we'll do is we'll do best practices of high-performing donation pages. We'll talk about some of the 5 best practices really quickly, so it won't be too long. I'll talk about a top new trend in donation pages as well that you can utilize to increase your gift size, increase gift frequency, and then we'll spend the bulk of our time on the live donation page critiques, and we'll have an optional Q&A. So Q&A at the end, we'll try to have it as long as possible, but that is optional. So feel free to stick around if you do have the time. In terms of time allocation, 15 minutes for the first 2 bullet points of best practices and any trend. I'll be leading this. Typically, I get kind of bored myself talking after about 15 minutes, so I try to cut it as that. And then we'll spend 25 minutes talking about live donation pages. All right, and then 10 minutes for optional Q&A. We'll try to get you in and out within about 40 to 45 minutes, but we'll be happy to hang on if we do have a little bit more time. So before we begin on the best practices, one of the things I want to challenge you with is shifting your thinking a little bit. So what happens today, and this is not intentional, is that a lot of us have this anti-donor philosophy, where what we think about are only our problems as an organization. So, and how we solve them is to make things that are easy for my nonprofit and that fit the budget and resource constraints and time constraints that I have. And this little sweet spot that happens is how we make decisions. Unfortunately, it's very easy to think about ourselves and very difficult to think about the experience that we're giving donors. So what I challenge you today, and just kind of put this on, have it kind of in the back of your head, is to think about having a philosophy that is more donor-centric, where it's about putting yourself in the shoes of your donor, providing an experience that meets what they're looking for and what they need by providing something that's easy and compelling, and specifically the intersection of those two. So I challenge you all to ask yourself, is it worth the work to increase fundraising results by shifting our mindset? Because it won't be easy. It's a different way of thinking, and it's something that you have to work at in order to get the results that you want. There's no judgment here. So if you do have the capacity to shift your thinking, then great. If it's not for you, then maybe in the future, it could be something that you adopt. All right, so let's talk about some best practices of high-performing pages. I have about 5 of them real fast. I'm going to speed through this. So high-performing donation pages, kind of before I kind of dive into this too deeply, is we gathered our best practices from looking at hundreds of donation pages on our platform, as well as we go out there and talk to some of the most successful nonprofits on our platform to figure out how and why they're successful. And those are distilled into some of these best practices over here. So the first one in terms of best practice for a donation page is just to be visible. Now, a lot of times organizations have a beautiful website, but they bury their donation button as well as the donation page, so it's hard for donors to find. And one of the things that we've seen is that 30%, there's an increase in donations by about 30% when you change the button color from something that's more muted, like a gray, to something that's more visible, like a red. So this way it pops out, so if someone's on your donation page, they can easily see it, they can easily find it, and then go through with that. The benefits to your donors is that you make it easy for them to make a donation. And benefit for your organization is that it increases your conversion rate on your donation page. The second best practice is thinking about providing a branded experience as well as something that is compelling. I call this storied because to bring the storytelling into your donation page is very important. When it comes to your branding and the look and feel itself, 70% of donors are more likely to give again on something that's well designed, that's branded to your organization, that's not as transactional focused, if they donated on something like that for the first time. So you'll get more repeat donors if you're providing a better experience to that initial touch point. We talked to Kirsten Elliott, and she is a development director at Hawkwatch, and her #1 tip for your donation page is to make sure you include your value proposition on your donation page. So making sure that the donors understand what is going to happen and if the donor makes a donation and what the donation will go towards. Like, what is the impact of your organization? When I talked to Taylor Adachi from Carousel Ranch, she mentions that her #1 tip when it comes to your donation page is providing this branded experience. So that if someone's on your donation page or reading your email or seeing something on social or seeing something locally, then they're able to remind themselves of who your organization is and the work that you do. So the benefit of having a branded page that's compelling with stories is that it increases the level of trust from prospective donors. And the benefit for you as an organization is that it increases that conversion rate as well as the retention rate of donors. Tip #3 is to use descriptive tiers. So this is that intersection of making it easy for donors as well as making it compelling for them. So what are some of your donation tiers? So this is, for example, what a donation tier is. It's not just providing dollar amounts for folks to click on, it's actually tying that dollar amount to some type of impact that the donor can help create from making a donation. So when you tie dollar amount to donation, such as $150 to 10 days, 10 days of meals for homeless folks, then that ties dollars to impact, which helps convert the donor to making a donation. 68% of donors agree that knowing how their donation makes an impact is really important to your gift. So the vast majority of donors want to know what the impact they will have or potentially have when they make a donation. When we talked to Meat Fight, Alice Assad, she's the CEO of Meat Fight. She's raised over $100,000 last year. And her #1 tip when it comes to your donation page is make sure you connect donors directly to that impact by using some of those descriptive donation tiers. Kamar Walford, his number one tip is just being clear about how donors can make an impact and how the money will be used to change lives. So these are directly in line with a best practice when it comes to descriptive tiers. The benefits for your organization is that you make it easy for donors to give, so they don't have to think about the amounts, they don't have to think about the impact that they want to have. And the benefit for your organization is increased gift size, since you can suggest different levels of giving as well as display levels of impact. All right, moving forward, number 4 best practice when it comes to your donation page is offering recurring donations of some sort, so donations on autopilot. Recurring donors give 40% more annually than one-time donors because it's just on autopilot. It keeps on going month after month, quarter after quarter, year after year. So we make it easy for donors so they don't have to make the same transaction twice. And recurring donors have a 90% retention rate as opposed to 46% for one-time donors. So recurring donors, not only do you get more repeat donations, but you also retain them over the course of time. One of the things that we do also recommend is offering pledge donations, which is a little bit different than recurring donations. Pledge donations gives donors the ability to commit to donating a certain amount, such as $1,000 or $10,000, but they don't have to pay that immediately. They can pay it over time through installments. So whether it's through monthly installments or yearly installments, they can figure out what fits their budget, what fits their cash flow, but initially make that commitment of supporting the organization. So this works really well for capital campaigns or for annual campaigns as well. When you're able to make an ask, turn any small donor into a major donor, and then have them donate over time automatically without it being in perpetuity, such as a recurring donation. When we did our own study on pledge donations last year, 63% of donors would give higher amounts through pledge donations, so they would increase their gift size as well as the frequency of their gifts. The benefits for your donors is that they can commit to a larger, to them donation amount, and that fits their budget. And for the organization is that you can increase your gift size and frequency. All right. And the last one is enable mobile wallets. So this just makes it easy for donors. There's been a huge growth of mobile wallets throughout the past few years. 54% of consumers have used a mobile wallet, which is like Apple Pay, Google Pay, or PayPal to make a payment or to make a donation. So vast majority of folks, because it's easy, it's saved on their phone, and they can easily make a transaction. There's a 50% estimated growth of mobile wallets as well from 2020, which is in the past, all the way to 2025. So we're on the cusp of that, in the middle of that. So there's still growth in mobile wallets. It's huge, and it makes it easy for donors to make a donation. This is just one example here where when someone is making a donation on your donation page, offering the ability to not only make a credit card donation where someone can take out their wallet and punch in their credit card number, but if they have something that's saved in their browser, such as Google Pay or Apple Pay or PayPal, then that allows them to make a transaction and make a donation much quicker than having to enter in something manually. Sasa Boshoff from the Bladder Cancer Canada, she recommends that for every donation page that you have mobile capabilities. Not only is it mobile optimized, but you have the mobile payments built in. The benefits for your donors is that they can give on any device very quickly in less time. And the benefit for the organization is that you get increased conversions on your donation page when someone is making a donation. So I actually did it. I did it in 15 minutes. So the best practices over here. So first, be visible so donors can find it. Be branded, so there's a story built into your donation page. Use the descriptive tiers so you can match ease of use with a compelling item that donors can donate to. And offer recurring donations so you can increase your gift size as well as pledge donations. And then very lastly, use mobile wallets on your donation page for increased conversion. So those are the best practices. So very excited. If you have any questions on any of these, feel free to chat us in right now. I'll be handing the keys over to Jenna to go over some live critiques of real donation pages that were submitted. So super excited about this.
Sweet. Now the fun part. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. So while we're going through this, keep an eye on these examples. Try to remember them. We're gonna have a fun poll at the end. See which ones you guys like. So here we go. We're gonna get started with Jamila.
For these critiques, we drew them from participants who registered for this webinar and they submitted it. And then there are some outside examples as well. I think there's some amazing things that these organizations have created on their donation page. And in terms of these critiques, it's more about kind of lifting them up, kind of showcasing some great things they're doing, so we can relay that to you all, as well as some potential opportunities to enhance their donation page. So I just want to kind of lay that foundation first.
Nice, yeah, thank you so much. Yep. So just looking at this first example, we see that it's pretty clear CTA here. Explains, has a link about how you can make a difference. And then very clear, we just put in our donation amount. We can put in $50 example here. We'll continue. And then we see the item here, the amount. I'm able to leave comments. I have my billing information laid out here. And then the credit card information. So just looking at this general example here, what I love about this is that like the clear CTA at the front, it's embedded right on the website. And it seems like a pretty fast transaction. So, very straightforward, very straightforward. So I love those aspects. Rob, did you have anything else that you wanted to add in terms of what you like about this donation form style?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I like as well is when you scroll to the top, they make this very much about the community. And for junior leagues, it's really much about the community and the members of the organization. So I think having that picture on top makes this a little bit less transactional and more community focused. So I think they did a really good job over here where kind of showcasing the impact of their work as well as the community to drive and kind of donors to follow on with this process.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think, if I were to give any sort of critique, like ways to improve, just going back to Rob's discussion, like talk about mobile payments, maybe increasing the different ways to give by adding some mobile wallets. That could be something to add. Another thing might be just like on the first page, maybe adding some tiers here to provide some context for your donors, just so they don't have to do much thinking on, just do a little more of the thinking for them so that they can maybe, determine the value that they want to give a little quicker. Yeah, I think like those would be my two suggestions. Rob, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think having descriptive tiers where donors can just click on a specific amount and have a description of what that amount will, what kind of impact that will lead to would be really helpful instead of having the donor go in and specifically having to enter in an amount. The other thing that I was going to point out too is that if you scroll down a little bit on the form, if you go on to the next step of the form, there's a place where it adds on like kind of this tax thing as like a little line item. So this makes it kind of look like an invoice almost, which is it's not like the right feeling you want to give to a donor where it's very transactional, very businessy, where when someone's making a donation, 100% of the time, there's no tax charge on a donation for a donor. So this kind of information here, where it's interjected into this flow, kind of disrupts the donation process. It looks like what happened, and this I think it's a technical limitation, is that they're probably using something that was meant to sell sponsorships or sell goods, more of a kind of a shopping cart style donation flow or transaction process versus something built specifically for making a donation. So if it's something like that, you can delete it and remove it from the flow. I think that can help the donor go through the donation process.
Great point there. Awesome. yeah, so this is a great first example here. I really love that streamlined look on right on their website. I'm going to move on to our second example, which actually is a CauseVox example. This is Salt and Light Ministries, and so they also have an on-page embed. I love that it's an embed as always. I like that they have 2 donation type options here. We've got a one-time gift option and a recurring gift option. And it looks like they have the same values, whether it's a one-time or a recurring gift, that's fine. Yeah, so if we just process an example transaction, it looks like we'll have a review of the gross donation charge. First name, last name, email is collected, and they're also collecting postal, similar to the last example we saw. And then they have Apple Pay, Google Pay option here, and then the card number. Again, very straightforward. Something I like is that in addition to the embed and the recurring option, it's pretty close to the top of the page. The donor knows exactly where to go to process their donation. We have the option to cover, we have a 0% option here, 0% platform fee, and they can just tip CauseVox if they want, the donor that is. So yeah, I like those aspects. I think it looks nice on the page. And I love the mobile wallet option. Rob, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, I really like how they have it embedded on this page, so donor doesn't have to jump from page to page and not redirected to a third-party site. Everything kind of stays in this branded page, and then they have this little area on the left of talking about the impact of what your donation will actually provide and support. So I really love that aspect about it, where they're tying that story directly into this form over here. One of the things that's interesting too, that I really like is they have kind of a couple of donation tiers, but one of the things that I would encourage them to do is change the description from donation to something that ties more to that left-hand side of what that gift supports. So you can tie the kind of the content of what they're talking about into the form itself, or remove the descriptive tiers. So instead of having just the same donation description, basically just have the number. So if you're not utilizing a description, then condensing it will help make a cleaner process for donors to go through with their transaction. That's something I encourage them to look at. And then very lastly, I really like how they have kind of the mobile payments built in, as well as different donation types that a donor can go through.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it looks really good. Yeah, I love their little top banner too. Just another reiteration about, you know, the work that they're doing, what the donors work that they're doing by giving. I would say they could customize the title a little bit more if they wanted to provide more context to the type of donations that are being processed. But other than that, I think another great example.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I think because right now they have it customized as their organization name, and that's a little bit redundant because in the URL has that name, the logo has that name, and then just all throughout this page, people know what it is. So one of the things, if you're doing an embedded page, like embedded form like this, then using the title to have something that is more of a call to action, something like make a donation or support the ministry, or just something that is more action oriented, would be something to think about. But if they're using this form for something that's freestanding outside of this page, then I think having the name of the organization makes a lot of sense. So something to think about.
Very good. Moving on to Three Betties Foundation. Chad, if you're there, shout out to you. This is Chad's org here. So I just wanted to go through. This is the landing of the donation page. And so a lot of good context here, just explanation about what the donation will support. If you click it, it will bring you back up to the top. But if you scroll down here, we do see that you have your four donation tiers, which are great. Love the embedded donation tiers. Love the very specific tier amounts and the descriptions that go along with them. This provides your donors a lot of context. So let's try, I'll just go through and process one of these. Apparently $50 is my go-to amount. On the second page, it does bring me to a checkout sign-up process as a donor. I would say that this maybe is a little bit of a deterrent. I would like to just, as Rob had mentioned earlier, just make it as easy as possible for a donor to process that. So if there's any way to remove any sign up or login process, that'd be great. So yeah, just a quick look. Again, I love the embedded form. It stays right on your organization site. Love the tiers, very nice layout. Love the descriptions. I would just like to see a little, maybe sooner on the page, the form, the options for your donations, maybe closer to the top of the page, and then removing any barriers on the second step of the process. So I just, Rob, I don't know if you had anything to add.
I definitely agree. I love kind of this wide spectrum of different impact tiers. Everything from $26, which is a small donation amount, all the way to upwards of 500. So giving a wide spectrum of how donors can contribute. I think one of the things when I was looking at this before that I had a question about is when you go through the donation process, the next step, there's kind of if you click on the $50 one, Jenna, under order summary, I was a little bit confused because it says plan is donations and duration is until canceled. So then I was thinking is this a one-time gift or is it a recurring gift? And if it's a recurring gift, then how long does it go for? So those are some of the questions that kind of popped up into my head of okay, what am I actually going to contribute here? So if there's a way to make this a little more clear, I think that could be helpful. I know I'm a focus group of one, so it may not be accurate. Other folks may not be thinking about this, but that's something that I thought about that could be enhanced. And then I definitely agree with you, Jenna, having a sign up and login screen as a first step could be a deterrent because unless there's a strong reason for someone to log in or sign up, such as if it's for a recurring gift and you manage it, or they have an account and they have a mobile wallet saved, or they have their profile information saved, then it may not be helpful from a conversion standpoint to get donors through the process. So that's something to monitor too, because every donor audience, every nonprofit's audience is different. The donors are different. So that's something to kind of reach out to your donors about to see if kind of what areas of the process were friction points and what can be improved and what actually needs to be improved.
That's a really, really good point on that recurring status. Yeah, so moving right along. I'm going to move on to Operation Hope Foundation. This is another CauseVox example. Right off the bat, we have just, we see that it's an embedded form. It's embedded within this customized graphic that really brings you into the place where this organization is making impact, which I love. It's bringing you there. So right where your donation makes the difference. I do like that it's a bit of a shorter form. Sometimes it's good idea to just have a compact tier. Helps the donor process the donation quicker. They just see their values and move on. It has a custom currency, which is great. And on the next page, very quick, first name, last name, email as always, postal, and then your mobile pay option and credit card. As a on-page embed, you can place any sort of help text or any graphic. This form can be placed in any part of your web page, so you can add as much context as you'd like anywhere around the form, which I love. So yeah, I love that it's embedded. Love that it's just the design of the page itself and how we can see kind of the work as a visual. I might just recommend maybe providing some more context around like the exact ways that the donation will make a difference. I know that there's a little bit more down here. I actually haven't explored more. Oh, it brings us to the standalone page if you wanted to make a donation to specific areas, and then we do see the housing fund there. I'll go back to our on-page embed. Yeah, so I might just recommend maybe adding descriptive tiers to this one if you wanted to provide more context around a specific program or any specific activity that the funds would contribute towards. Maybe like also just noting that the donation forms, the CauseVox donation forms you can add your own colors for branding. So you could change the accent color and the button color to be more stylized with the colors on the page. But other than that, I think this is another great example. But Rob, handing it over to you.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the branding side. I guess a few thoughts on this one is that Operation Hope, they use a lot of blues as their primary call to action color. Like their donate now button is blue, as well as the hope in their logo is blue. So that is something to definitely change, because with the orange and the blue, it doesn't really go together from a branding perspective. So I think a blue could be interesting to use, or alternatively to use like another color in their color palette. That could be a better match, because I can tell that's the default orange that we offer. Which is not, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it's something that can be enhanced. I really like how they kind of laid this out too. From a page design perspective, it's when this page loads, it's what people call above the fold, which is, I wouldn't say it's the strictest thing to follow. Above the fold just basically means that it doesn't require somebody to scroll too much on a screen, so someone can actually see the section, so they know there's something below there. But every screen is different, so that's something that's kind of interesting that they did with this. I think another thing too is that from a layout perspective, they actually used half the width of the page for the form, and then the other half for more of the imagery, the impact, which I think is very interesting. Because sometimes you see organizations use too small of a width, and their form is just like super tiny and very hard to use. And sometimes they use too much, where they lose out on displaying the visual impact of on the page. So I think that is very interesting in terms of design perspective, what they did with this. So for the takeaway of this is to think about what kind of imagery do you have on a page? Like, do you need something that's 50% of the page of the width, or do you need something that's 80%? Or do you need something that's like 20%? So just kind of think about what that is. I think they found a really nice match over here. So I really like that about it.
Yeah, it's a great ratio, and another great example. We're running a little bit up on time, but like following up with what you were explaining with the donation form widths, like here's an example where, you know, their width is even narrower, and I guess, you know, they wanted more room for explanation of, you know, the work that they're doing here. But again, this is another above the fold example, or I think that's the term that Rob used, and makes it really easy for the donor to know where the donation form is. There's a bit of a difference between the coloring here, but pretty close, another general green. They have different donation type options here: one-time, monthly, quarterly, annually. I think that kind of flexibility is nice for a donor to have as well. And they also have their donation tiers with descriptions. So that's one of the things that we pointed out as well. I'm just going to move on to the second page, see what else is here. Okay, we've got a bit of the donor information: email, phone, country, postal. And then it looks like there's another page adjacent. Okay, so without going into detail here, you know, this is yeah, very practical. I like how it's next to their impact here, and they have the impact listed on the tiers. I might consider using a form with less pages, like it's maybe a 1-page or 2-page form, just so it seems maybe less daunting on the donors. part, just have to, click through. We try to make things as fast as possible, so we can convert more donors, and that's something to keep in mind maybe. If there are a lot of form fields, that's something just to think about, how many questions you need answered by your donor, like what information you really need to collect from them.
Yeah, I agree. I think I really like this aspect of, they have this kind of factual statement of impact on the left. So that part is super strong. But I think one of the things that's kind of jumped out to me over here is that on the donation form itself, it's not entirely apparent that you need to scroll on the donation form to go through the process. So the implication of this is that for a donor, your reference point of your donation is $25. So what that means is that you first see 25 and 50 and maybe 100. So you may think that, okay, my three choices of making a donation are those three amounts, and you may be leaving donations on the table when you have that at the very beginning. I think from a UX perspective, requiring someone to scroll down on the page, but then also scroll on these kind of a smaller box like this can be a little bit difficult. I'm not exactly sure what it looks on mobile either. But that's something to consider if this form can be a little bit wider, which I think based on the design of the page, it can be. So if you use the donate button, the right section of it up top on the nav, that's actually the right border of the page. So there is some room over there where they can expand and change some of the padding of this to increase the width of the form. And if you do increase the form width, then you will be able to provide a better experience for your donors in making a donation. So I think those are some small tweaks to enhance the process. But I really like how they have the descriptive tiers, the impact, the recurring donations. So a lot of great things over here.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if we have time for one more, if you want to sort of run our poll. I guess it's been 20 minutes, so.
Let's do one more.
Okay, we'll do one more. All right, I believe this one happens to be a cause box. So we see the donate option pretty clearly in the upper right corner. All right, we're taking one-time gifts, monthly recurring gifts, 13, 35, 75. All right, we're pretty straightforward here. And then postal and again, we have a mobile payment option. Mobile wallet option, I should say. I think, yeah, this looks great. I think visually, aesthetically, and like just like accessibly, like this is very accessible to a donor. Very easy to read. I think the accent color button colors are almost pretty close to their website branding, but could be exact, just to make it a little better. I think that, it seems like their purpose is to, put the donor through as fast as possible, like pop up, enter and go here kind of thing. I think it might be nice to add some descriptions just because it is a pop-up light box. So that means that there's no help text surrounding the donation form itself, like an on-page embed. That's something to consider, like I think Rob might have said, like it's not guaranteed, like we need a compelling reason for the donor to actually process the donation once they've gone to the site to process the donation. The actual submission is not guaranteed until they place it. So every little bit of help text supporting it is always important. Yeah, I think also because it's also not really clear about the type of impact, even if I scroll down their main website page here, their main landing page. So yeah, I might just like, supply a little bit more context towards the impact, and another CTA at the top here at the title and subtitle.
Mm-hmm. I really like the subtitle because that's their slogan. So I think that's something that's very interesting to use because it kind of summarizes what they do from an impact side. So I think that's very interesting. in terms of how they did that. I do like how they did that as well. It definitely seems like this flow is very easy to use too. Just kind of 2 steps to make a donation, as well as it does this pop up. So in the background, folks can still see that they're on the website without the redirect, and still have a feeling of impact when they make a donation. So a lot of great things over here.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, Jenna, special surprise. So we're actually going to award one of these examples with a prize. So can you kind of just share some of the examples we went through so our audience can take a look? Because one of you, so I didn't have a chance to do the poll since I was too busy talking. But what we're going to do is if people who are on today, if you could just open up your chat box. Jenna is going to go through some of these examples really quickly just to show you what we went through. And we're going to leave it to you. So it's going to be voting based on chat. So rate not scientific. If one winner, so basically the question is, who do you think should win this donation page Throwdown? Pick your favorite and just enter it in the chat. And then we'll just count it up. And at CauseVox, we're going to make a $100 donation to whatever that page is. So Jenna, can you kind of run through these examples real fast?
All right, we've got the Junior League of Tampa, the on-page embed here. All right, next, Salt and Light Ministries, another on-page embed. Number 3, we've got 3 Betties. I'll go back to the donation form. 3 Betties Foundation, the embedded donation tiers here. Operation Hope Foundation. Mycelium Youth Network. And finally, the Lightbox pop-up, Res Refugee, or Refuge. Excuse me if I'm mispronouncing that. All right, so those are our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 donation forms.
6 donation. All right, so we're gonna give folks another 15 seconds to put in their quote unquote chat votes over here. And we're just gonna cut it off and then we'll announce our winner very shortly. All right, so countdown, okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, let's take a look. Jenna, who's the winner?
Who is the winner? Okay, we've got, oh my gosh, somebody came in. We've got 1, 2, 3, 5 for Raise Refuge. I think it's Res Refuge.
Res Refuge. All right. Well, congratulations, Res Refuge. You will be receiving a $100 donation to your page after this webinar. So
wow.
I don't know if they're on, but they're the winners for this Throwdown. We do have some additional resources. So this will be sent out in the summary, but if you need additional resources regarding your donation page or form, best practices, we have this over here. Feel free to check us out. And in terms of learning more, if you want to enhance your donation page or form on your website or have it freestanding, at CauseVox, one of the things that we do offer are modernized donation forms. So check us out. We'll be happy to have a conversation. You can go to the link that Jenna chatted in, which is causevox.com/schedule-a-demo, and we'll be happy to take a look. For remaining time today, we'll be doing Q&A. So if you do have any questions regarding donation pages and forms, best practices, anything you've seen today, feel free to use the chat. Feel free to kind of post in your question, and we'll be happy to get that answered. I do think we do have a few questions already, right?
Yeah, we do have a bunch. So I guess we can start with the Q&A panel. Jennifer wrote, we need to be careful as nonprofits about defining tiers. If you say $15 will feed 1 child, you're telling that donor you will be restricting that donation to feeding children, not operations or general unrestricted, etc. Adding text like your donation will feed 1 child and support all that effort. That is the advice I was given by our finance team. Okay. Okay, so not exactly a question, but just a little bit of a explanation here.
Yeah, I think that's good. That's something to flag as well, depending on what kind of form you have or what kind of campaign that you have. So definitely consult your tax advisor, your finance folks on all the ins and outs. There are ways to have it in the language so that it's more general and unrestricted, where with impact tiers are more examples than a direct one-to-one. So definitely consult your tax advisor for that. So this is something good to consider.
Great. Devin asked, how do you recommend setting up a donation page that serves multiple campaigns at once? For example, we have an ongoing multi-year campaign collecting donations for a 5K and a Seek benefit. Sponsorships all simultaneously. We need to drive donors to a single place. Okay. How do we keep it clear, compelling, uncluttered, and donor friendly? Wow, that's a great question. That's a really good question. I mean, on CauseVox, I feel like we give pretty much a lot of flexibility on how you could do that. You can run unlimited donation forms and campaign sites on CauseVox. So if you have a web editor, you could link all of your different campaigns and programs on one web page, like ways to support. Or maybe you could consider doing one donation form, and through either the donation tiers or a custom question, the donor can select which program they want to attribute their funds to. I'm not sure if Rob, you have any more like advice around this.
Yeah, I guess I'm missing some of the details and context, but in terms of how other organizations have done it, and the way I've seen it is that they'll run multiple donation pages for different purposes. So they may have one for event sponsorships, fall event sponsorships, where the tiers are specific to event sponsors. And then they'll have another one regarding like pledge donations, for example. And they'll have another one related to just website donations. And then they have a campaign site for their 5K fund run. So even though they're like the donations are all flowing to the organization, they have different pages and different sites for different fundraising purposes. This way you can tailor the language, the branding, the colors. You can tailor the donation tiers and donation amounts, the recommended ones. And also from a reporting perspective, then you can understand, okay, for my 5K fund run peer-to-peer, it performed to this amount. For my event sponsorships, it raised this amount. If you don't have something that's very unique to each fundraising initiative, then what happens is you have one generic form. If it's too generic, then it's not compelling. So that's something to consider.
That's a great point there. Michelle, how do we get the PowerPoint? PowerPoint will be sent out afterward to all of our attendees. Jennifer says, there's some content that I'm seeing that I like: annual impact, numbers served, volunteer hours. Is that worth having, or is it distracting? Does this mean like around your donation form? I think, I mean, I always love to see the numbers. I mean, I think sometimes people like seeing numbers. It's like,
I think there's a healthy balance, right? Yeah. On your donation page, it's not meant to look like a Wikipedia page where you have just figures, but I think showcasing some of the key ones that help illustrate the point is really important. So think about first, like I have my page, I have my form. On that page, what will compel donors to make a donation? Is it kind of 5 metrics, or is it 2? And based on neuroscience studies, showcasing 1 or 2 things typically is better than showcasing 5 or 10. You just want to showcase the one that helps you support whatever story you're trying to convey and whatever action you want to convey. One of the things you can do is that use that as a primary, like one or 2 metrics, and then your form, and then you can dump like a lot of the other facts and figures below that area, and then have it on different sections of your page, so that if someone is browsing through it, if they need more info, they can find that, or they can find the right people to talk to at your organization.
Follow up to that, Rob, is, where on the page would you put those impact numbers? above the fold, below the fold? Does it matter?
It really depends. It's hard to answer. Above the fold, below the fold. So there's typically two formats to every page, and this is talking about desktop only. There's left, right, which is you have text on the left and then some form on the right, or a form on the left and some text on the right. Or you have it stacked, where you have your content, like your numbers and text, and then below that you have a form. That's typically how it's rendered on mobile. So if you're on any type of mobile device, you typically will never see columns on your screen. You always see like everything stacked. So because mobile is growing based on the figures that we presented in terms of best practices, you probably will want to keep it as concise as possible, so that how it renders is that on mobile at least, your I don't know, your form can come first or your facts can come first. If you have like short facts like bullet points, then that'll probably come first, and then you have your form like halfway through on the screen. If you're on your desktop, then personally what I would do is I would have it have impact on the left and then a form on the right, because that's typically how people read, left to right. So you want to lead with the compelling story and then have the action for them to do on the right. If I had to choose, it would be above the fold, but the fold is not as important as people make it out to be, because I think for a lot of us, we understand what scrolling means on the desktop these days, while before most mouse and devices were not kind of configured for scrolling.
Excellent. These are great questions. Thank you so much for engaging with us and just following along on our Throwdown. For those who are wondering about setting up different donation types on a CauseVox donation form, for example, it's really easy. It's really just a setting in the back end. You just toggle it on and off. And I'm happy personally to walk through with you through our settings if you're interested in like modernizing your form right away, or if you have any questions about how CauseVox can